Hi there, this is Sandra Wight, and this is my Art2Ride Associate Trainer submission for 2022. I will be featuring Cara the Andalusian. Um, Cara was a horse that came into my life back in June of 2021. Her previous owner had had her since she was 4 years old and had really not done anything with her. Outside of about 60 days of training, Cara had learned to bolt and become disruptive when her owner rode her, and so she was usually just put right back into a pasture and forgotten. And rinse, repeat, fast forward another 16 years, and then I got her. And as you can see by her body, there's a lot to unpack. She has absolutely no muscling. Although she's a long and elegant horse, she carries a lot of excessive fat. Her fascia is very loose. She's got a narrow collapsed chest sling, a floppy fatty crest. She's got a pasture bod. She had not done anything with her life, and her body is proof of that. On the upside, her legs are 100% hard and sound, and she has had very little miles on her body. So she's young at heart and has plenty of energy, so she was a great project horse. But my assessment was most definitely couch potato. So moving on with her, this is Cara's walk. And she's got a pretty good walk considering that she's clearly not happy with her change of careers. You can see, though, that even an energetic walk is a lot to ask of her. And though she looks filled out at first glance, she's really not. What you see is a pad of fat covering her entire body, and she has no correct muscling. So here she is at the trot, and her trot is clearly upside down. She is pulling herself along with her lower neck muscle. Everyone called that a glider, and I think that's a code word for leg mover. And I was told that this is just how Andalusians travel. You can see, though, that the enlarged lower neck muscle is what she uses to move herself, and it's, of course, the exact opposite of working over her back. So she just simply did not have the muscling to move correctly for a prolonged period of time. So if I were to continue to work her at the trot, I would have continued to build that lower neck muscle and further disconnect her from the back half of her body. So until she developed some adequate fitness, I had to do the only logical thing to build the correct muscles, and that was to strengthen the muscles she was already using correctly. So we went back to the walk. Now note here, she has moments during this trot segment where she will actually start to lower herself right there. Her lower neck muscle will start to relax, and you can see how the trot gets a little bit slower and bouncy. And then, of course, she can't sustain it, so she goes right back out of it. But right there. So that told me that there was something there. So we went back to our walk, and we just walked and walked, and we walked a lot. So walking is great because it builds fitness. You can do a lot of it. So we hit the trails, we did arena work. I rarely rode her. We just really did a whole lot at the walk. So when several months had passed, we had built up enough fitness that I could do a little bit of lunging with her at the trot. And that was its own thing. So when we started to work at the trot on the lunge line, she would bolt off and hollow, and you can see how crooked and upside down she is. By now, though, she had developed some fitness, and she would eventually relax and connect, but we would go through this scenario most every time, where she would just get uncomfortable in her body, and the way she reacted to being uncomfortable was just to bolt off. And I'm not asking for the canter. In fact, at this point, I'm trying to bring her back to the walk. And I'll pull her in just closer and closer to make it a little bit more difficult. But as you can see, she's completely disconnected here and really not listening to me. So I've just got to continue to reel her in and be calm and reset her. So the idea is to bring her right back to a walk, and then just start moving again, and then just start from the walk and maybe move up to the trot. So she does eventually reach for the contact, and her hind end even begins to move a little bit. You can see there she's still got a flat trot, and it could certainly be more energetic, but for her level of fitness and progression, I was pretty happy with that. She doesn't have a lot of thrust at this point. She still has very weak stifles, and she seems to be a horse that builds muscle fairly slowly, but you can see, based on the previous videos, that she's lost all of that body fat, with the exception of that crest that just kind of flops back and forth. But the muscle has been slow to be put on. So after we do our lunge work, I do ridden walk, and it's mostly done at the walk. I spend most of my time at this stage just helping her find the stretch. She's quite a reactive horse, and it's been difficult to get her to focus on work rather than anything else. And when I'm on her, fortunately, she's not a bolter, but she's looking at everything, leaning towards everything. Just, there's a lot of interesting things going on. If a neighbor's car is parked in a different spot, she notices, and that's a big deal. And, so getting her to develop a work ethic is challenging. And again, it just takes time. She's got a lot of triggers that just, she's used to doing to get her own way. In fact, here I'm trying to turn her, and you can see she's resisting the leg, and I'm following the contact, when her head goes up, when it goes down, when she kind of braces against my leg, and I try to move her off that leg and then encourage her to step underneath herself. And at this stage, at both the walk and the trot, she really does feel like a stalled car. Her fascia has not completely tightened up, and although we have our new Peter Horobin saddle that we're riding in that's fit to her, she is very loose in her skin. And it's taken a while to kind of tighten that up so that, she's actually got, a thin layer of skin over muscle instead of, again, the pad of fat or just the loose fascia. So, but riding her at this stage is a lot like a stalled car, and she's kind of sticky, and there's a lot. So we focus on what we can fix, which is a stretch and just getting her to move off the leg and yield, and just all of the basic baby work, because even though she was 17 in this video, she's still very much a baby in her head, and I have to treat her like that instead of someone who at her age should really know better. So we'll do some circles, we'll change the rein, we'll do a little bit of leg yields just to get her moving off of the leg and starting to understand what a bend is, and just really work on moving. Our work in hand that we did was often comprised of a bit of piaffe work to help connect her diagonal pairs and bring her back up. Sometimes, as you can see, I'd struggle to keep her head and neck straight because she's a bit wiggly, but she doesn't explode through the aids, and you can see how lovely she connects after that. Once she moves in, the right direction, for the piaffe, we're looking for her moving diagonal pairs, moving the back feet closer to the front, relaxing and lowering her neck, or one day to actually lower the 3 joints of her hind end. I'm just rewarding what she gives me, and then moving off at the walk. So as she started to become stronger and more balanced, and as you note the year, this is March 2023, a little over a year later, we were able to start putting her into a working frame and having her stay connected over her back for longer periods of time. And the working frame actually really helped her stretch at the trot as well. And I think she began to really see the stretch as a reward for sustaining a working trot. And that was when I could really start to feel her back coming up underneath, and her reaching and pushing. And it was cool because that was the time when it really started to come together. And you can see here, when I allow her to stretch, when she comes into the stretch, as she goes down, I had a bad habit of tipping my body forward and, just having her dump right onto her forehand. So I have to make that conscious effort when she goes down. I stretch up, lift my toes up, and just elevate my seat so that her back can really come up underneath me. And, instead of just putting her head down, she can actually lift her back and really push through from behind. Because anything that I can do to get that back end to step deep underneath and push and help strengthen those stifles, I am all about that. So we're doing, I think, just a little bit of a lengthening here. And you'll notice we're riding in a double bridle. Under Will's guidance, we tried it, and it really was an instant success. She was less reactive, and while she's still distractible, because that's Cara, I've found that if I wiggle the inside curb while maintaining a weight of the rein contact with the outside snaffle, it really helped keep her connected and bring her back into the aids, because I don't want to use the double bridle to just hold the curb and turn the curb back. That's not the point of it. It's to help her reset and refocus, and it really did an excellent job. So as you can see, she's stretching here. I'm stretching my body up and really trying to get her to just reach and connect as much as she can. And Cara's development and improvement really has been a baby steps. But if you look, you can see that her chest is wider now. She's actually an inch taller. Her chest sling has started to come up, and she actually is quite nicely muscled now, and she is getting a top line. But like I said, she does not muscle quickly, and if you see her without the saddle, she's still got a hole in her back, but it is filling in, and she is actually starting to look more like an Andalusian to me instead of, just kind of a horse. Her work ethic has improved, so much so that just a few weeks after we took this video, there was a schooling show that was available, and Cara's not done much canter work. It's not there, and there's no point in doing canter if they can't sustain it. And I'm all about no bad steps or minimum bad steps. So until it's there, there's no point. We're walking, we're trotting. But I could do one of the intro classes, so we went ahead and entered that with zero expectations. I would just be happy if she got there and didn't lose her mind or just explode, because again, very reactive horse, and she reacts to different situations. So I was not expecting much, but we went, and she certainly was reactive in the beginning, and I just took her on a long trail ride and got her relaxed and moving, and then we came back and went into the warm-up arena, and she seemed to be in a much better zone there. Uh, and we went in and we did our test, and we certainly weren't perfect, but she stayed calm and consistent and in the aids, and much to my surprise, we ended up winning. So yay! But we've spent several years now building the engine. We're going to be spending the next year progressing up the ladder and enjoying some competition. Cara really does thrive on consistency, and I work her 5 days a week. Now that she's comfortable in her own body and she has a level of fitness that doesn't make moving such a struggle for her, she actually enjoys a good challenge, as do I. So her being incredibly smart, she picks things up very quickly and then has a bit of an intolerance for me if I don't get it right away. So my challenge is to be more precise with my aids and my balance, because she really does rely on precise movements, very black and white movements. She doesn't live in a shades of gray world, as I don't think many horses do. So I've got challenges that I want to work with so that I can be a better partner and a better rider as well. And this is all about improvement. So moving on, as you can see, she has certainly improved at the walk. You can still see that hole in her back if you look right in the center, but look how nice and relaxed and deep that walk is. She's just come so far. I'm awfully proud of her. And I can't get this far without saying a sincere thank you to Will. We've been training with him weekly, and honestly, it's really because of that guidance that we have come as far as we have, as fast as we have. So thank you again, sir. And thank you everyone for taking the time to listen to this. Have a good day.